What's up, guys? So let's talk about different stereotypes of Enneagram types. Because, now this is not a video of me saying stereotypes are bad. I actually like stereotypes. I believe they're important, okay? But at least make sure that they're correct stereotypes, which instead of kind of handicapping the person, they help the person in typing. Because some stereotypes actually can benefit you. Some are useless, like 9 core being 8s being angry or controlling people, or 9s being peacemakers. But we'll get into it soon. So let's start with type 1. So type 1's, I would say type 1's stereotype is probably all the fact that they are nice goody two shoes accountants who only care about morals and that's it. So if you're a person who cares about being a good person, you must be a one core. Yet in reality, you can be many other different types because many types can care about doing this. Many types can care about having impact on people, influencing people, having principles, having can be moral. Many types can be that way. They can be even perfectionistic. Like SP4 can be perfectionistic. SO2 can have some qualities that to a newbie might look like a one core. So it's incorrect. I'd say morality is not really what only makes one core. Of course, it's more so. Think about this way: it's a side consequence of the fact that ones are very rigid type, very rigorous. The fact that they everything that they do is always about adhering certain principle, certain rule. So they're not random people or spontaneous people, but they're the opposite of that. They're more methodical. Their temperament is way more about precision, organization, and with what that comes, it comes certain amount of uh, I need to act proper. I need to be proper. I need to be act according to my principles. So you'll see a lot of that thing. But that doesn't mean every person who has principle or is a bit perfectionistic like SP4 can doesn't mean you are a one core. So there is this very rigorous, methodical and uh, very focus on not breaking habits, focus on not sacrificing pleasure, focus on always adhering to that vision, adhering to that plan, always adhering to that path, not straying away for anything. So that's something that's going to be visible.
To even use your superpower. You don't even tell your story right. You shit on your story. I don't have a story like Wes Watson. He fuck was in prison for 10 years. Now he's got Rolls Royce and shit. Motherfucker, when I was on my prison rack before I got out of prison, I was thinking about myself this highly because my fucking habits made me feel that highly of myself. I hadn't broken once in a 10-year period. Not one missed wake up. Not everything that was under my control I didn't miss.
And with the type 2, that is where stereotypes hurt type 2. So stereotype of a 2, as we all know it, is a person who likes to slurp and obviously is very meek and submissive. She's gonna be the perfect housewife and she's gonna do anything you want. Literally bake you a cake, give cheeks, whatever you want, she's gonna provide because that's what she is, right? A human provider. But the reality is very different. Let me put it this way: what you think of when you're thinking of that Enneagram 2 stereotype, you're actually thinking of sexual 3. Yep, I know it's confusing. I know, but that is true. So the truth with Enneagram 2 is that they're way more, as I talked before, much more assertive. They're much more assertive, and most importantly, they're not some meek person who wants you to validate their existence. They'll beg for love, and no. They have very inflated sense of self. This is what you need to understand about twos. Like, if you know a legit two, you know that this prick has his sense of self is big. I mean, it's up there. So they can often be. I wouldn't compare them to housewife who are meek. I would compare them to more spoiled brats who are very privileged and think the world is their oyster and they can demand attention and shit. That's why I would more likely to think of it. But and especially with sexual too, you can see that aggression and obviously the more violent streak, more assertiveness, more aggression, which can look almost like an 8 if you're new. So that's something to remember. Even SP2, I know it's this kind of people think, oh, it's a princess, they're so soft. Yes, you also know that they can be quite sadistic if they feel unappreciated. So that's also a trait. So with type 3, actually, let me run a video. No, actually, no, I'm not gonna fucking run a video. So anyway, with type 3, um, we have a person who, unlike that two core, which is so emotionally turbulent and so is more likely to throw tantrums and more likely to want to be the center of attention and like a teenager. Think of a teenager. Three core is more of like an adult. Three core is more of a cold, can be more cold, more pragmatic, with exception of sexual three, which again is more of the meek, submissive housewife who's going to do anything for you. That's more likely to fit it. But as a general, as the type, they're more at the core, they're more pragmatic and cold, slick people who, again, want to fulfill their worth by achieving things and making sure that they strive for a certain goal so they can affirm their sense of self, affirm their worth. So it's not as simple as, oh, I'm such a princess, I'm such a princess, Regina George kind of shit. It's completely misunderstood. That's more of a two core behavior. Threes actually will grind and be pragmatic and try to fulfill certain external standards, of achievement, of success and stuff. So, in fact, that they do earn it. Now, when it comes to four, mm, I would say with a four, we think of this manic pixie girl who believes in flying unicorns and has like weird hair, hair color. That's what we assume. That's what we usually think when we think someone who wants to stand out and be so special. Which is why you see so many fours being mistyped. Like, if you're in a BTI, like every other ISFP or INFP or whatever, like every other ISFP individual is typed as a four, like it's kind of ridiculous. So, no, it's not that simple. While conformism is something they struggle with because they want to be an individual in a sense where they are different. It's not more of a. It's usually not as conscious thing for them where they try to do silliest shit like paint the freaking fingernails fucking weird color of their hair. It's not as simple as that. It's not as basic as, oh, I like this band because they're different. Like that's goofy. That's goofy shit level. So that's not focal. It's a stereotype is completely wrong. Again, no, no, no. There is this. Obviously, they don't want to conform. They want to go their own way. So there is this kind of thing of always feeling like they're alienated, feeling like they are different from others. That doesn't mean that all of them will showcase this as obvious, as obviously as P4s can even try to seem like they're adapting to others. So it's not as simple. They can almost look like a nine more so. So not as simple. The stereotype is completely wrong. Okay, incorrect.
Always gonna be a part of me that's sloppy and dirty, but I like that. With all the other parts of myself. Can you say the same about yourself, fucker? Can you forgive? Are you any good at that? You may not have experienced the shit that I did, but you loved hearing about it, didn't you? You are afraid to be alive. You're afraid to live. You're a hypocrite. You're a conformist. You're a liar. I opened up to you and you judged me. You're an asshole. You're an asshole. Get off me! Get off me!
Now, with a 5 core. 5 core stereotype is that of a person who is an intellectual. When we think intellectual, we don't think 6, we don't think 7, we don't think anything like that. We think 5. Because, whenever you Google it, 5 is the smartest type. The reality is very different. I'll tell you this. I'll break you, give you a secret. Right? Break you the news. So, 5s are not the most intellectual type. I know, it's a shocker. 6 is. So, the stereotype of a 5 is incorrect. It's a person who is so intelligent, they hoard knowledge all day, and that's all they do. Adhere to reason and adhere to logic at all cost, and they're just so intellectual. They spend their time grinding and learning, and again, just adhering to certain more like logical principles. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That is untrue. I would look again. You're dealing with a person who is more of an independent thinker, as I said in my previous video, which a person who thinks outside of the box. They're actually more likely to think about stuff that's not as grounded and concrete. They're way more abstract and way more pulled away from everyone else. So there's no adhering to anything external. They go their own way. They make their own understanding of systems, and so people who circle jerk theory, drool over theory, or again adhere to logic and reason at all cost. That's a 6. That's SO6, not a 5. So we're very withdrawn, introverted, and obviously a person who values their time, values their effort, values their energy. They're not actually, funnily enough, they don't want to go around teaching everything and giving everyone information. They're actually way more greedy with information. They're way more greedy with their time, with their presence, everything. So there's this amount of almost greed of resources, their time, energy, everything, right? Now with a 6 score, the stereotype is of someone who I've seen this. Depends again on the whole phobic, counterphobic, but there's this idea of them. It's just a person who is very aggressive, and they can be quite aggressive, and they just go against the fear. Simple, like it's basically like weird counterphobic sexual 6 mentality. That with a 7, you have another bullshit type, a stereotype of a person who is a fun lover, right? He's just a fun lover. He wants to go around partying, having sex with a lot of women, do drugs, be just crazy. That's what we think of when we think 7. Lives in the moment, very spontaneous, always wants fun, doesn't think of the future. But it's funny because it's so much different. It's so much different. The reality of 7 core is that they again are ego planning. They are they can be very focused on their future. Their future is bright, almost this mentality in which they always strive for kind of looking forward, how to take advantage in this situation in a way that benefits me in the future, how imagining a certain type of future that is better than what it is now. So this is such it's hilarious how you kind of compare the stereotype. It's such a huge difference, but that's kind of how it is. So an actual 7 core is more of a charlatan, as I said before. They don't just live in the moment. They're often very idealistic. In fact, they're dreamers. SP7 being the more grounded one, but the rest are dreamers, idealists at heart. Idealists at heart. You need to understand that. And another thing is that they're not just stupid people who like to party. 7s are one of the actually underrated intellectual types. 7 is a very intellectual type. Many 5s, polymaths who just want to learn more subjects, they're actually SO7. They're not a freaking 5 core. So it's underrated. People sleep on it. It's a person that, again, a type it's a head type, and it's a very intellectual type. So people, when they think intellectual, they just think someone who's just geeks over books. That's all they do, geek over book in a basement. That's not how this shit works. So bullshit stereotype. Just a guy who likes to have fun, lives in the moment. Many stereotypes are actually describing more of an 8 core than they are describing a 7 core. Think about that. The stereotype of 7 is about 8. It's weird, but there it goes. Bullshit. Now, 8. With an 8, there are multiple stereotypes. The stereotype of they're very angry. That's a big one. They're very angry. They're angry. They control others. That's a big one. They're very controlling. Like they will control you and everyone in their environment. They need to feel in control. So so they are not scared. Some bullshit like that. I forgot. But it is obviously a joke, which is why people who relate to the Riso Hudson description of 8 tend to be one course. They tend to be three course, because it's such a vague description. Anyone who's the assertive type can relate to it. So when it comes to the truth about that, is 8s are actually are not, they don't really struggle. The keyword is struggle with anger. One core is a type that is actually they struggle with anger the most, meaning it's something that as a frustration type they want to have control over. So focused on having control that they always try to push the anger down. Oh, and they're very angry, they're very frustrated, very annoyed. With an 8, they're so free in expression of anger that it's not a struggle. If he's angry, he acts on it, right? If he's it's expressed, it's more like maybe like a hot flash. It comes and goes. That's the anger of an 8. It's not something that a person who's in the corner raging and angry and yelling at everyone. That's not really it. It's simply a person who is so in sync in its instinctual reactions that when it gets annoyed, when it reacts to an environment, it can snap, it can be quick and loud and excessive, yes. But again, it is not deep anger. So please never use anger as a way to type summon an 8. Just forget anger, it doesn't matter. But that's out of the window. So another fucking stereotype, which is controlling others. And I don't know how many times I've said this. 8s are not focused or interested in controlling you or what you do with your life or if you act a certain way. I don't give a fuck how you act. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not interested in how you act. I'm not even interested in controlling you. In fact, I'm more interested in steamrolling you. That's what I'm more interested in, right? So it's pointless. This point 8 is about lust. 8 is about, at the end of the day, it's about lust. Lust and excessiveness, unrestricted lifestyle, freedom to do as you wish with no one trying to stop you from indulging in it. What person who's so hyper focused on control is not focused on excess, is not focused on lust. They're focused on something else, either be a fear of being like maybe again fear of kind of losing control, so they need to always be in control, or something else, or like have more of a one core. So think about this way: 8 equals extroverted sensation type. That's it. That's it. Once you understand how an extroverted sensation type works, you will understand 8, and that's it. So it's not as simple as, oh, this person doesn't fucking like being controlled. No. I would not never type someone an 8 just because they have the control problem. It's more than that. Again, I look at the freedom. Are they really focused on just living life, not really caring about adhering to certain like weird ideals all the time and excellence and all of this shit? And again, last, it must be visible. Right? So those stereotypes are completely wrong. Those stereotypes are cringe, which is why 98% of Reddit is mistype 8 larpers. That's why. Simple as. So, a clip for you guys to kind of show you.
Who was she?
Who was who?
That lady you were talking to when you were supposed to be finding Monsieur Gontier.
I don't know.
Is she one of your mistresses? How many do you have? What are their names? Where do you keep them, Someone told me that your nobles like Brandon are assisting you in having your affairs.
That's enough.
No. No, you told me, you always told me that we should be truthful with each other. You said it was the definition of love.
Then here's the truth. You must shut your eyes and endure, like your betters have done before you.
How can you say that to me? Don't you know I love you 1,000 times more than Catherine ever did?
And don't you know that I can drag you down as quickly as I raised you? 'Tis lucky you have your bed already, madam, because if you did not, I would not give it to you again.
Some of it. Now, a nine core, the description of a nine core is a person who, well, it's a person who is a peacemaker. They're a peacekeeper. They want to be friendly, they want to be nice, they want to be sweet, and they just want to kind of avoid getting drama because they feel so bad, they feel so bad by, like something like that's ridiculous. So it's an easy way to mistype yourself. Listen, many asexual nines are SO4s. Believe it or not, they are SO4s. Gentle, kind, compassionate, very nice to people, doesn't want to fucking start any drama with anyone. Boom, SO4. So, it is incorrect. Don't pay attention to those peacekeeper. And true nine core might not want to indulge in drama, not because he walks around life panicking, worrying if people will fight, but rather because, again, it takes too much energy, it's too much drama and effort to deal with something as pointless as that. They are really a sloth. They're not gonna go around worrying about things and worrying about if people are fighting, arguing about something silly. No, they're just gonna disengage. They're not gonna engage. They're not gonna go with it. They don't care. Ninecore is very much don't care. That it is. Just they're so focused on, again, indulging in their own comfort, numbing themselves out, so that they have no interest in all of that, paying attention to the higher inner workings of things. So no peacekeeper, all of that shit. That is completely untrue. Nine core needs to be just so hyper passive and they never react. Yet you see many people type as A-wing 9, which are actually are nines. Because sometimes they'll punch someone, or sometimes they'll they'll push back against someone, which is a completely acceptable thing for a nine core. If you are actively passive individual, if you are generally passive, and then you have kind of a reaction of aggression or pushback, that does not mean you're an 8. That does not mean you cannot be a 9. It's absolutely possible to be a 9 with those characteristics. So there it goes. Again, stereotypes, it's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing. They definitely do ruin some things. Hopefully this video is helpful. So let's go.